In the heart of Atlanta in the United States, a massive structure is rising as a new symbol of modern sports architecture, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. With a total construction cost of more than $1.5 billion, this stadium was designed to turn sports and entertainment events into large-scale technological experiences. From the outside, its steel and glass facade forms a sharp-edged shape like a diamond in the middle of the city. Above it is a unique retractable roof, moving like a camera aperture, combined with a 360-degree halo board surrounding the stadium, bringing tens of thousands of spectators into a visual space with almost no blind spots. But to create that spectacular appearance, engineers had to overcome a series of challenges in structure, mechanics, and technology. In this video, let's join Mandarin Tech to explore the journey of creating Mercedes-Benz Stadium, one of the modern stadiums selected to host the FIFA World Cup 2026. The proposals to build Mercedes-Benz Stadium arose from the need to replace the Georgia Dome, a stadium that had been a sports symbol of Atlanta for more than 2 decades. Although it had hosted many major events, the Georgia Dome gradually became outdated, no longer meeting the new standards for technology, spectator comfort, and the ability to host large-scale international events. Instead of building an ordinary stadium, Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank wanted to create a structure that could become a new symbol of the city. Right next to the old imprint of the Georgia Dome, a completely new stadium began to take shape in the heart of Atlanta. On that construction site, the steel beams, stands, roof sections, and technology systems all had to be calculated to fit together like parts of a giant machine. More than replacing an aging stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium opened a new chapter for Atlanta on the world sports map. Before the giant steel roof panels could move across the sky of Atlanta, engineers had to create a foundation strong enough to support the entire structure. For Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the foundation is the part that must carry the full load of the project. From tens of thousands of spectators and multi-level concrete stands to the giant steel roof system weighing tens of thousands of tons above. First, the construction teams began excavating the soil, treating the ground, and building the foundation system across an area of 200,000 square meters. Thousands of tons of concrete and steel were used to create a foundation strong enough for the entire structure. Once the foundation was completed, the project moved into the stage of erecting the stadium's main load-bearing structure. Instead of using dozens of small foundation columns like many traditional stadiums, the structure was designed with 19 giant mega-concrete columns surrounding the building. Each column was calculated to withstand extremely heavy loads from the roof system and the stands above. These columns act as the main skeleton of the entire stadium, while also helping reduce the number of obstructions inside and providing wider sightlines for spectators. As the concrete columns and the stadium's main frame gradually took shape, the project moved into the construction stage of the retractable roof system. The first step was installing the main steel truss system, the load-bearing frame for the entire roof. Some steel trusses were up to 220 meters long, stretching from one mega column to another. Lifting and positioning such massive components required absolute coordination between cranes, ground crews, and workers operating at height. To support the assembly process, engineers erected several temporary steel towers 60 meters high inside the stadium. These towers acted as intermediate support points, keeping the steel truss system stable throughout construction before the load was fully transferred to the main concrete columns. After the entire roof truss system had been fully assembled, giant hydraulic jacks were used to slowly lower the steel truss system onto the mega columns. This process was called jack down. During the operation, some steel hinges began to deform under the enormous load. The engineering team was forced to stop construction, reinforce the structure with additional steel plates, and then continue. After nearly 18 tense continuous hours, the jack-down process finally succeeded. The entire steel truss system was firmly placed on the mega columns exactly as designed, marking an important milestone in the construction process and opening the way for the project's next complex construction stage. If the steel truss system is the skeleton of the stadium, then the 8 retractable roof panels are the heart of the entire structure. Unlike stadiums that use traditional sliding roofs, Mercedes-Benz Stadium has a roof system made up of 8 giant steel panels. When opened, the roof panels simultaneously slide and rotate along precisely calculated paths to create a circular opening at the center of the stadium. When closed, the 8 steel panels fit together almost perfectly, forming a sealed roof capable of protecting the entire stands and field from harsh weather. Each roof panel weighs about 500 tons, equivalent to the weight of many small commercial aircraft. With such enormous dimensions, manufacturing and installing them became one of the greatest engineering challenges of the entire project. Because of their massive size, the roof panels were divided into multiple sections and assembled right inside the stadium bowl before being lifted into their final positions. This work required steelworkers to operate at great heights under strong winds and limited space. Even a small error during alignment could cause the entire component to fail to match the design. After many months of construction, the 8 roof panels were gradually completed. Next came the installation of the guide rail system, load-bearing wheels, and high-power control motors. This was an extremely complex mechanical system, requiring hundreds of components to operate in absolute synchronization. If just one roof panel moved at the wrong speed or encountered a technical problem, the entire system could jam or even suffer serious damage. After the mechanical system was installed, the engineers began testing the roof closing process. Each panel slid into position, rotated along its programmed path, and gradually closed toward the center. Only when all 8 panels closed evenly was the roof considered to be operating successfully. As the giant steel frame and retractable roof system gradually took shape, the project moved into the stage of completing the elements that would define the spectator experience inside the stadium. The most prominent among them was the halo board. From the beginning, the project owner did not want to build a stadium with a traditional scoreboard like what fans had been familiar with for many decades. They wanted to create something that would overwhelm spectators the moment they stepped inside. Instead of installing screens at the 2 ends of the field or a cluster of electronic boards at the center of the stadium, the engineers decided to hang a giant LED screen around the entire central opening of the roof, forming a complete circle above the playing field. With an area of 5,760 square meters and a total screen length of up to 335 meters surrounding the central opening of the roof, the halo board quickly became one of the largest sports screens in the world. Thousands of LED modules were manufactured with extremely high precision, transported to the construction site, and then assembled into a giant structure suspended beneath the steel roof system. The engineers continuously optimized the design, reducing the weight of the support frame, suspension system, and electronic components while still ensuring durability, stability, and image quality at the highest level. After many months of construction, the giant LED ring was finally completed. When the steel components and the iconic roof system were operating stably, Mercedes-Benz Stadium entered the most important transition stage, from a giant construction site into a space ready to welcome tens of thousands of fans. Each tier of seating was gradually filled with more than 70,000 seats. From above, the continuously layered rows of seats formed a giant bowl surrounding the field. This layout helped bring spectators closer to the game, while also creating the intense atmosphere typical of major stadiums. Every viewing angle was carefully calculated to minimize blind spots and help spectators have the best possible experience, no matter where they sat. Alongside the stands, the field was also completed during this stage with the installation of Field Turf Revolution 360. This is an artificial turf system designed to provide a playing field close to natural grass, while also offering high durability to meet the constant use of sports matches and large-scale events held throughout the year. Not only was the playing area carefully refined, but the entire interior space of the stadium was also gradually completed. Behind the modern architectural shell was a complex system of spaces designed to serve both athletes and tens of thousands of spectators at the same time. Every detail had to be tested and trial-operated to ensure that the structure could function smoothly when the number of people arriving at the stadium reached its highest level. From food service areas and rest spaces to locations with beautiful views of the playing field, everything was designed to enhance the fan experience throughout each event.
When the final stages were completed, Mercedes-Benz Stadium was no longer a construction project. It had become a complete space, where technology and the fan experience were combined in even the smallest details.
Outside the stadium, instead of using a glass facade or flat metal surfaces like many other modern structures, the architects chose a design inspired by the art of origami. The outer shell consists of more than 4,000 aluminum panels, laser-cut and assembled at complex angles, creating the distinctive multifaceted form of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Each aluminum panel was manufactured with its own size and shape to match the unique geometry of the structure. Once completed, the entire facade creates the effect of a giant crystal reflecting light from multiple directions. Beyond its aesthetic value, the folded surfaces also help disperse wind pressure, contributing to greater structural stability. Alongside its impressive architecture, Mercedes-Benz Stadium was also built with the goal of becoming one of the world's leading green stadiums. The structure achieved LEED Platinum certification thanks to a range of energy-saving and resource management solutions. Most notably, the system of more than 4,000 solar panels provides part of the electricity needed for daily operations while significantly reducing carbon emissions throughout the stadium's operational life. Through the combination of creative architecture, advanced construction techniques, and sustainable development thinking, Mercedes-Benz Stadium demonstrates how large-scale structures of the future can achieve high operational efficiency while creating positive value for the environment and the community. The opening ceremony of Mercedes-Benz Stadium was truly a spectacular debut. After years of design and construction, the structure finally opened its doors to its first visitors. When tens of thousands of fans entered the stadium for the first time, they were immediately overwhelmed by the vast interior space. The massive circular screen suspended above the field, the unique retractable roof, and the architecture designed like a sculptural work, making the first experience inside the stadium memorable even before the match began. After entering operation, the stadium quickly became a center for large-scale cultural, entertainment, and sporting events. These events not only benefited downtown Atlanta but also generated economic impact across the city, the region, and even the entire state of Georgia. On a global scale, Mercedes-Benz Stadium quickly established a new standard for modern stadium design. The structure was placed alongside some of the world's most famous sports architecture icons. Its breakthrough engineering solutions, modern technology, and sustainability standards turned it into an important milestone in the history of modern stadium design. For Arthur Blank, the completion of Mercedes-Benz Stadium marked the peak of a journey that lasted many years. He began as a visionary businessman and ended as an admired leader, someone who turned controversy into consensus and transformed obstacles that once seemed impossible to overcome into opportunities for growth. Even so, debates over the stadium's economic impact and tax exemption policy continue, reflecting larger questions about the balance between public investment and community benefit. Mercedes-Benz Stadium not only changed Atlanta's skyline, but also created a broad influence on sports architecture around the world. After the structure was completed, many new stadium projects began prioritizing multifunctional designs capable of hosting different types of events instead of serving only soccer or American football. Solutions such as retractable roofs, large-scale screen systems, flexible spaces, and green building standards gradually became elements that many developers and architects incorporated from the earliest design stages. More importantly, Mercedes-Benz Stadium showed that a modern stadium is not only a place where matches take place. It can become an architectural symbol of an entire city, a driver of economic development, and a year-round center for cultural, entertainment, and sporting events. This way of thinking helped shape a new generation of stadiums, where technology, architecture, and the spectator experience are combined within a single structure. From a bold idea on paper to a new icon of Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium clearly shows how the most daring ideas can sometimes become the most iconic structures of their time. But the greatest value of this project does not lie in its investment cost or the records it holds. What truly makes it special is the way it changed how people think about modern stadium design. Do you think Mercedes-Benz Stadium is truly a model for the stadium of the future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to follow Mandarin Tech so you won't miss our next stories about technology and mega projects.